Hello and welcome, new users on SmartSuite-Library. We're going to get you trained up today. My name is Quinton and I'm going to be hosting your training session. Today is live and we are coming to you from beautiful Brisbane, even though we're all locked down inside at the moment. If you do need to communicate with me throughout the session today, you can do so by throwing in your questions and your comments into the chat console on the right of your screen. Okay, I am monitoring all those conversations and chats that are coming through. So if you do need to ask those questions, please make sure that you do put them into the chat. I'm here and I'll try and get those answered for you. There are some other cool features with YouTube. That's why we have done all of our trainings through the YouTube platform. If you do get interrupted during the session today, you need to help a student or you need to answer a phone call from someone because you're at home, you can pause the live session. It will automatically record what's going on. So you do have the ability to then catch up and whiz through what we've just covered and then push it all the way to the end and catch up with the live event. Okay, so make sure that you are taking advantage of those facilities. Now, what are we going to be covering today? We're going to be going through a couple of things that you need to do before you get started with SmartSuite-Library. We're going to have a look at the basics to get you up off the ground, to get you cataloging and circulating in the system. And then we're going to have a look at how do you communicate with our customer service team members. So that's everything that we're going to be covering today. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into the training. I'm just going to flick over to my screen here. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now. As I said, please make sure that you do reach out and ask any questions throughout the session today. Now, what do we need to do before we get started with SmartSuite-Library? Well, the first thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we have our SKIS account set up. Okay, now this has nothing to do with what we can do inside SmartSuite-Library. Okay, we actually have to go over to SKIS. So the first thing you need to do is log on to Google. Okay, and then put in a search term of SCIS for SKIS, followed by Z3950. Okay, the top article there talks about how to set up Z3950 in your SKIS account. Now, if you don't know what SKIS is, it's a body that goes through and catalogues all the books that most of the schools around Australia are using. So they create the catalog records. So all that you have to do is scan the ISBN into SmartSuite, and we're going to import all that information from their database into yours. And that's going to save a little bit of time trying to type out the titles and put in the subjects and the authors and the publishers directly into the system. Okay, so it's a bit more automated for you, and it's based around that whole sharing of information philosophy. Okay, now we do also integrate with other third parties, so we can look at Open Libraries Australia, OCLC, your local council library, Library of Congress. We can import the metadata directly from them, but we're going to deal with how do I set up the SKIS account because most of our schools are using SKIS. Okay, so in this article, it goes through some of the information that you need to input into your library management system. Now, we're going to go through how or where we do that in SmartSuite-Library in a minute, but it's not going to do anything for us unless we have activated the Z3950 service on our SKIS account. Now, these instructions here says if you don't see the Z3950 heading, you need to contact them and have it enabled. Okay, so go ahead, click on Contact Us, follow the steps, ask them to activate Z3950 on your account. They'll send you an email back once it has been done. And from there, you'll then be able to go to the next step, which is to log into SmartSuite-Library and plug in your SKIS details there. Okay, so number one, before you get started, you have to set that up on your SKIS account. Now, everyone that's come in new to the system, especially if you're someone that's transferred from another library management system, you should have received a welcome letter from us. That welcome letter will contain a whole bunch of information, but what we really look for in that letter is, number one, what is the URL to our system? So all schools have their own unique URL to SmartSuite Library. It'll be something along the lines of your school abbreviation or your school name, SJPS, St. John's Primary School, .functionalsolutions.com.au. Okay, so your URL will have that information. That email will have that URL for you. It'll also give you your username, which should be your school's email address, and then instructions on how to log in and set up your password. Okay, so when you hit that URL, top right hand corner, there is the sign in button. When we click on that, it says, all right, what's your username? And then you punch in your password. Okay, now if you did forget your password for whatever reason, once you've entered your email address into that field, you can click forgot my password, and that's going to send an email to your email account with a link that you can click and reset it. Okay, in this case, I'm going to try and remember my password. And we'll log in. Sorry, clicked the wrong button there. Okay, so once we're logged into the system, we now have all the controls where we can go through and manage the system. Okay. So once we've gone and set up SCIS, sorry everyone, I'm just getting a message coming through saying that one of our attendees today is having some dramas trying to log into the session. So bear with me one moment. I'm just going to make sure that they've got access to log in and join us today. So stay tuned, give us 5 minutes and we'll come back to you. Just stay on the link and we'll come back in a couple of minutes. Sorry about that delay. Hopefully we're going to have some other SmartSuite Library users join in a few moments. Okay, so now that we've set up our SCIS account and we've logged into the system successfully, the next thing that we need to do to get started with SmartSuite Library is to input our SCIS details into the cataloging system on SmartSuite Library. So the way that we're going to do that is top left hand corner, we have the system menu icon. So that's the little hamburger there. We're going to go down to catalog, and then we're going to choose global catalog. And this is the module that controls importing of metadata from other systems. Okay, now bottom right hand corner, you've got a config button. Click on the little up arrow in next to the config button, and then select Z3950 database. Okay, now out of the box, our system has all the information for the SCIS database, but the username and password field will be blank. So all that you need to do is input your SCIS username and your password and hit update. Now, as long as you have received that email back from SCIS to say that your Z3950 account has been activated and you've input your correct username and password here and click save, your system has now been set up ready to start importing books from SCIS. Okay, so that's all that you need to do. So number one, set up your SCIS account. Number two, make sure that your SCIS username and password is in the system. Okay, the final thing that we need to do to get set up ready to use SmartSuite-Library is when you are cataloging your books, you just want to be able to click one button and send all of those brand new books spine labels to your printer. Okay, so SmartSuite-Library needs to know which label you are using so that it formats those spine labels correctly for you. So over in configuration, click on that up arrow again. There is this option here called default spine label. In here, all of the templates that we have available for a number of different spine labels will be listed. And all that you need to do is select the appropriate one from that drop down. Once you've selected the correct format, click save, and then you can close that down. Okay, so they're the three things that you need to do before you get started with SmartSuite. Now that we've done that, the next thing that we can do is jump into a little bit of the training. Okay, now before we get into the nuts and bolts, we just want to go through and give you some familiarity around the system. Okay, so top left hand corner, like I said before, you have that system menu. Okay, that's the little hamburger icon top left. So if you ever hear our technicians referring to system menu or any of our instructions, that's what they're talking about. If you ever see any of our instructions or hear our technicians saying down in the toolbar, okay, that's the bottom bar at the bottom of the screen. And this is what controls all the functions that you can do on the screen itself. Okay, so in global catalog, we've got the ability to select the barcode format if we're wanting the system to generate the barcodes for us, what format, or if we're wanting to specify the barcodes that we want the system to use. We've got our configuration button and our print buttons. If I head over to something like Patron Management, okay, where we control what which users are in our system and what privileges they have that access to within the system. Okay, down in the toolbar here, we've got a whole host of other functions because the module's obviously a bit different. So we've got the ability to create a new user, change their password, delete, and a whole bunch of other features there as well. Okay, so if you do ever hear us talking about the toolbar, we're just talking about that bar at the bottom of the screen. Okay, now whilst we're in Patron Management, we're going to start talking about how do we look after and how do we manage our patrons. Okay, so where I came to for this was System Menu. Then I went to the Patron option and Patron Management. Okay, and that loaded up this screen here. Now, we're going to be talking to you today about how do you get started with SmartSuite. Okay, so we're not talking about the bulk import of users to do your rollovers and big changes to the system. We're going to be talking about, we've got a user on the system, they've left the school and we want to remove them. Okay, the other scenario is we've got one or two teachers that have come in and we just want to create them on the system. We don't want to have to export the data out of our school management system and then do a full import into our system. We just want to quickly type their information in. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is talk about how do we add a new user. Well, down in the toolbar, we have the new button. We click on that, everything goes blank, and all we need to do is start typing and scanning the information in. So in the barcode field, we want to type in their enrollment number or their employee number, depending on whether they're a student or a staff member. Okay, if you don't have it on hand when you're dealing with that student, so the student has walked up to the desk, they've said, hey, I'm new, can I borrow these books? You just want to quickly get them on the system. You don't want to have to spend 5 or 10 minutes logging into the SMS, trying to get their enrollment ID, plugging it back into the system. You just want to get them started. Okay, that's fine. Put in the dummy barcode for now, but make a note of it. Okay, it is critical that you try and get their proper enrollment ID in the system as soon as you can, because when you do Patron imports later on, it's going to cause a whole bunch of mischief for you. Okay, so if you've got it, plug it in. If not, make sure you make a note for yourself to go and fix that up later. Okay, the username. This is if we're wanting to link the system to the network and use the same network username and password. Chuck in the user's username in there. So it might be something like JFER34. First name is John Fernandad. Their email address, JFER34 at myschool.gov.au. Okay, you've got the security field. Don't worry too much about that. It's going to be built off all of our authority files that we're going to set up. Select their year level, select their homeroom, and in the toolbar at the bottom of the screen, we have the save button. Okay, if you're wanting to go through, fill in their parent information, have a look at some of the other fields of info that we've got behind those tabs, by all means go ahead and do so, and then hit save right at the end. Now you do have an option here called email login. That is ticked by default whenever we're creating a new user. What that's going to do is if I click save right now, it's going to automatically generate a random password for this user, and it's going to email that user with the URL for our site, the username, and that generic password, and that will allow them to log in and set up their own credentials later on. So if you don't want the system to do that, go ahead and uncheck that. Okay, if you do want it to happen, leave it checked, click save, system's going to give us a prompt, we click OK, generates the password, saves the user into the system, and emails them all those details that we spoke about just before. Okay, adding a new user, it's that simple. The only thing that we need to worry about with our staff members is that last field on the screen here. Now, currently, by default, it always says student. Now, what this does is it controls the different modules that this particular user can access throughout the system. So if we want to give this user access to the teacher tools and give the teachers the ability to create lessons using SmartSuite-Library, if you've got a subscription to TV for Education, being able to access the TV for Education library, if we wanted to filter our statistics reports and have a look at what the borrowing stats are for the teachers versus the students or anything like that, we need to make sure that we select the correct user role. Okay, so first thing we need to do if we're setting up that teacher is to remove the student role by clicking the cross next to student. We then click on the field again, and from the list we select teacher. Okay, hit save, and we've now successfully updated the role for that user. Okay, nice and easy. If we needed to locate any user, down the toolbar we've got the find, so punch in a couple of letters or their full name or their barcode into the system, it'll bring the user up for us behind there. Changing their password, sending them the email login again, that's all accessible through the toolbar. Okay, if that user has left the school and we're wanting to remove them from the system one at a time, we don't want to do a bulk delete, which we can do using some other modules. Select delete. It's going to give us an error message here. You are about to remove this user and all their borrowing history. Are you sure that you want to continue? We go OK, and it removes them from our system. Now, if that user does have active loans or active overdues, the system will prevent you from doing that. You do need to head over to Circulation and mark those items as lost, and then come back to Patron Management and remove the user. Okay, and we will go through how to mark books as lost in a moment. So managing our users is very, very simple. All of it can be done by accessing the buttons through the toolbar at the bottom of the screen. Okay, as I said, we do have a bulk import facility, which is found under Smart Patron Import. We covered the advanced functions in other training sessions. All of those sessions are available on YouTube, so you can go to the channel and have a look at those specific sessions, as well as help articles, and I'll show you how to get to those at the end of the session today. Next thing we're going to have a look at is how do we manage our catalog collection. So we've had a look at how we manage our students. We're now going to have a look at how do we add and delete books and assets in our SmartSuite-Library system. So we're going to head over to System Menu, Catalog, and we're going to select Catalog again. Okay, and here we are in the schools, in the SmartSuite-Library cataloging system. We've got all the tabs at the top. So at the very, very top of the page here, we have the title of the book that we're currently looking at, or the title of the resource that we're currently looking at. This, in this case, is a book that's called Projects and Designs and Metalwork. We're currently looking at the basic information, but if I click on the tabs, I can see how many copies I have, what all the details are of those copies. I can have a look at the authors, the illustrators, publishers, etc., etc. Okay, down the bottom, we've got our toolbar again. We've got the find, so we can look up different books. We've got our new save, delete options. So we're going to jump straight into having a look at how do we manually add a title. So again, we're not looking at SCIS cataloging or importing records. We're looking at creating records from scratch. Okay, in the toolbar, we've got an up arrow next to new. Click on that and select new title. Just like in Patron Management, everything goes blank and it's a matter of typing or scanning the information onto this screen. Okay, so we can go ahead and go Harry Potter and the Chamber of Lollies. Scan the ISBN of the book. If we wanted just to double check whether it is available or not, clicking that little icon there will quickly query SCIS. If that book isn't available, it'll tell you no resources found. If it is available, it'll import all the data for you so you don't have to manually add the rest of the information in. Go through the remaining parts of the catalog, chuck in your call number, your edition information, collation, and then your media type. Okay, the only two pieces of information that are mandatory on this screen is the title and the media type. The system will notify you if you accidentally forget that you need to put one or both of those in. Okay, you can at this point go through and click on all the other tabs. So let's say we want to add some subjects. We can click on the subject tab, type in FIC, a list of all of the subjects that are in our system that start with FIC are going to load up, and we can select from that list. If we needed to add a brand new authority file into the system, FIC TION wizards history. Okay, it's obviously not in the list for us there. So all I need to do is click that plus symbol. It's going to ask us, are you sure you want to add this subject in? Now you need to pause at this point and double check what that pop-up message is saying. Now the reason why you need to just double check is because you need to verify the spelling, the grammar, the punctuation of that authority file. If I hit save now, that's the way that the authority file is going to be saved, and every other book that we link to that authority file is going to be using that same spelling, punctuation, grammar. Okay, so if we want it all to be capitalized, we need to make sure we capitalize it here. Okay, if you're happy with it, go okay. That's going to add that into our authority file list, and it's going to add it into this record for us. Okay, so that's the same with all of our authority files throughout the system. We can work through publishers, etc. Once we're finished with that, toolbar at the bottom of the page, we click save. That record has been saved for us. Okay, nice and easy. From here, we can then go and add copies into the system. So we're going to go over to our copy tab, And any copy that is highlighted in blue, or any line that's highlighted in that light blue, is telling us this is where you can add all the information of your new item. Okay, so obviously we have no copies that have been assigned to the Chamber of Lollies for Harry Potter. So we're going to put our cursor into the barcode field on that line that's highlighted in light blue. And we're going to either type or scan the barcode that we want for that book. Okay, we can then go through and select the copy status, which I want to be available, the location, which I want to be the Learning Center, sublocation is fiction, fortnightly. Okay, if I want to see all the additional information for this copy, so I want to add my costs and my cost centers and all that sort of information, click the plus symbol to expand the copy, and we can see who the supplier is, etc. So we can make adjustments to that. Put in our cost information and add any comments that we want. Once we've added all of our copy information, down in the bottom of the toolbar, we've got the save button. It's going to go ahead, add that record in for us. It changes it to a gray color, and that's telling us that it's saved into the system successfully. Okay, if I now needed to add another copy, we can go through and click on that light blue line and add the information in again. Or what we can do is we can take the information from copy number 1 and duplicate it into copy number 2. Okay, and the way that we do that is left-hand side, there is an expand button next to copy number 1. Click on that. It's going to bring up all the information for us, including these buttons that we can perform on this specific copy, one of which is duplicate. So if I click on that, takes all the information, throws that into copy number 2 for us, update the barcode to whatever the barcode is for copy number 2, make the adjustments. This one costed us a little bit more, $45. Replacement is still going to be $40, and save that. Okay, it's now added white. So multiple copies, we have an alternating gray and white color scheme. Light blue is where we go to add a brand new record in. Okay, so adding information is very, very simple. If we ever need to modify any information on the catalog records, all that we need to do is find the resource, locate the field that we want to change. Let's say it's our call number. Okay, and then hit save at the bottom of the screen. Very, very simple. If we're wanting to delete information, we need to understand the difference between the title information and the copy information. Okay, so the title information is the parent record. It houses what subjects this title covers. It covers any URLs that are assigned to it. It's the top level. Okay, underneath it, we have copies. And the copy information is what says this is a tangible resource that can be found in this location and this sublocation. Okay, now let's assume that we have 2 copies of a resource and we only want to delete copy number 2. Okay, we still want the record to exist in our library. We only want 1 copy to be available, but copy number 2 was just damaged beyond belief in some of the recent floods that we had up in Brisbane and New South Wales. So we're just going to write it off. We're just going to delete it. Okay, if we're dealing with deleting an individual tangible resource, we come to the copy section. Okay, we go down to the copy number or the barcode that we're wanting to delete and click expand. And then we click the delete button that is found within that expanded copy information. Okay, it's going to give us an error message. Are you sure that you want to delete copy barcode? And it's going to give you the copy barcode there. So look at the book, verify the barcode number is the same as what's on the screen. If it is, click OK. The system will remove that 1 copy, but it will keep the title record and copy number 1 in the system for you. Now, if that's not the case for you, you have Harry Potter and the Chamber of Lollies. You've got 15 copies of it, But look, it's just an old resource. It's not being used all that much anymore, and it's just taking up valuable space on the shelves for us to get some brand new content. We just want to get rid of it. Down the bottom of the screen, we have a button that specifically says delete title. Okay, when we click on that, it's going to give us a error message. Are you sure that you want to delete this title and 2 or 15 copies of this resource? If I go confirm, nothing's going to happen. I need to type the word yes and then click confirm. So we have a double check on that delete function. And the reason behind that is if you've got 134 textbooks, you were only meaning to delete one of them, we need you to just verify, double check before you hit delete and remove 134 by accident. Okay, and it has happened. Our team has been able to help that librarian out so that they didn't have to catalog it manually and try and bring all those resources back in. Okay, but just be very careful that you know which delete button you need to use. Is it the copy one or is it the title one? Okay, now before we move on from manual cataloging, I just want to show you one other feature that I personally have seen a lot of our users use, and this is over in the copy section. Okay, so let's say that we're looking through all of our copies here and we can see that we've got one that is currently on loan. Now this resource should have been returned. Okay, it's end of year and we should have received all those textbooks back from our students. So who is this person that has this copy on loan? Well, if I expand copy number 8, down the bottom we can see now that we have some information. Okay, and the information is telling us that it is on loan to, and it's got liblib. Now, this is my demonstration database. So on your database, liblib translates to first name and surname. So it'll be John Smith, Quentin Fernandez, Mary Magdalene. Okay, so that will give you an identifier as which user actually has this resource on loan. Now, if you've got 2 John Smiths at your school, the next 2 pieces of information is year level or classification and homeroom. Okay, so it might be staff and 8A, it might be 9 and 9H. We then have when it was due. So it was due back in 2019, okay, or it is going to be due by the end of June 2021. Okay, if it's overdue, it's going to be highlighted in red. If it is within the due date, it's going to be the same color as the rest of the text, which is that blue color. There'll also be a day count on it. So currently this is 483 days overdue. And then there's a little envelope here. If you click that envelope, it's going to flick off an email to that user and say, hey user, this book is now overdue. Or, hey user, this book is due in 483 days. Okay, so it's a nice simple function that just gets the information out to the user nice and quick. Okay, so to access the online information, as I said, all you need to do is just expand that copy and view it on the screen at the bottom there. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly check. We don't have any questions coming in through the chat console. So if you are joined in and you do have any questions, make sure that you are putting those questions over on that right-hand side of your screen. I'm watching it. I'll answer them for you in the session today. We want to make sure that you get up and running as quickly as you can. So please do go ahead and submit your questions there. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to talk about is SCIS cataloging. Okay, now we do that through our global catalog module. Okay, so system menu, catalog, and then global catalog. Now the way that this screen works is we work from the left-hand side of the screen to the right-hand side of the screen. This area here, this is where we tell the system, hey, for any book that you are about to import from SCIS, I would like you to assign the following copy information to it. Okay, and it just helps you from double handling the resources and having to flick between 2 screens once it's imported. So my recommendation is to all of our users that when you come to do your cataloging, you group your books and you put them into physical piles based on their copy information. So all the books that are going to the primary library fiction area that have a fortnightly loan period, put them into one pile. Your next pile, grab all the books that are going to the resource center into the textbook hire area that have a monthly loan limit, chuck them into another pile, so on and so forth. Okay, the left-hand side of the screen, you then tell the system, for every barcode that I'm about to scan, or every ISBN that I'm about to scan, I want you to set the following as the copy information. I want you to set the Learning Center as a location. Sublocation is commercial. Fortnightly. Copy status is available. Cost center is blended learning. Supplier Addison Wesley. Okay, because all the books really did vary quite a bit in their cost information, we're going to just set all those to 0 and we'll manually deal with those at the end. Okay, but let's say that I've got 10 books. Okay, if I set majority of the information here, that's 10 less things that I have to do on those books later on. Okay, so first thing we need to do, set that copy information up. From there, we put our cursor into the ISBN field. We pick up the first book from pile number 1 and we scan the ISBN. Okay, with that book in our hand, we then scan the barcode that has been stuck onto the book. Pick up our next book and we do the same thing. ISBN, barcode. Next book, ISBN, barcode. And we just keep banging through it. ISBN, barcode, ISBN, barcode, ISBN, barcode. System's going to go off to SCIS. There's no save button. There's no upload button. There's no transfer now. There's none of that. You just keep going scan, 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 scan. System does all the work for you in the background. Okay. If it has successfully worked and it has imported the book, it's going to give you a confirmation in green with a message that says import complete. Okay, if that has occurred, it has gone off to SCIS, found the record and imported into your system. It has assigned all the copy information that you see on the left-hand side here, and it has given the book the specified barcode that you scanned. Okay, so that's pretty much done. If you wanted to verify the information, clicking on the title there, that's going to go over to that catalog record in the system where you can go through your subjects, your authors. If you wanted to add additional tags, you can do that at this point. Head over to your notes, put some notes in there, click save down the bottom, close that tab, and that's going to take you back to Global Catalog so you can continue working on the rest of the books. Okay, if you've got a red message, there will be a little error inside it. Okay, in this case, you've got no item found on any of the database sources. Okay, so basically that ISBN doesn't exist in any of the databases that we have configured to this SmartSuite-Library instance. That's where you put that book aside, go over and manually catalog it later. Okay, some of the other error messages that you might receive is this barcode has already been used in the system. Okay, so you need to just make sure that you then assign a brand new barcode to that individual resource. Once you've done pile number 1, come back to the left-hand side of the screen, update the information for the next pile, put your cursor back into the ISBN, go to pile number 2, ISBN barcode, ISBN barcode, ISBN barcode. Okay, again, deal with that, then change the information a third time for pile number 3, ISBN barcode, ISBN barcode. Okay, that's all that you need to do. Really, really, really simple. Once you've done that, do not navigate away from this page. Okay, all of the barcodes that have been queued up, they are stored in this session. The moment that we navigate away from it, we're going to lose all the barcodes that we've been scanning on our cataloging session today. And the reason why we don't want to do that is down in the toolbar, bottom right hand side, we've got the print function. Okay, and if you remember back to the beginning of the session, we set up the default spine label. When we hit print now, it's going to grab all those barcodes from our cataloging session, open up the report template for the default spine labels that we're using, and it's going to throw them all into there for us. So if we've just cataloged 132 books, we're going to see 132 spine labels on the screen here. In the toolbar at the bottom of the screen, we have this parameter called blank. Now, what this is saying is, hey, I've already used my sheet of barcodes. So I don't have a full sheet. I've already used 3 of them. Okay, so in here, we tell the system, I have used 3. Click generate. The system will then push all those barcodes down and start printing from label number 4. Okay. So once we've got all of our spine labels queued up there, we could then click on the little arrow next to print and export and go export PDF. And that's going to grab all of that information, convert it into a PDF and download that report for us. Okay, now from this point, you need to make sure that you're printing the document from a PDF viewer and not your browser. Okay, so what you're looking for is going to your downloads folder and actually opening up the report in a PDF viewer. Okay, and I'm just looking at my share screen here. I can see that it's not actually capturing this this part of the system. Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. All right, so I've opened this up in my PDF viewer. Okay, and it's wanting me to log in. Thank you, Adobe. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the PDF actually opening up in that PDF viewer. If you're seeing your labels opening up in a tab within your browser, you need to stop and you need to close it down and open up that file in that PDF viewer. Now, the reason behind that is all of your browsers like to add their own margins to their printing. They like to format the headings a little bit differently. They like to make some changes to the fonts. Okay, you need to make sure that it's going to that PDF. Okay, that is going to ensure that the way that we've formatted that report specifically for the labels that you're using is going to be maintained so that you're not having labels spilling over different stickers, etc. Okay, so make sure that you're not printing from the browser. You do open it up in a PDF viewer. Okay, and I can't stress that enough. So from a cataloging point of view, you've got your original catalog, you've got original cataloging, you've got your SKIS cataloging, and that's all that you need to worry about. Sorry, I'm just reformatting my screen a little bit just to make sure that you can see all of the information on the screen there. Okay, now we're back into it. Okay, so now that we've done our importing, the next thing that we can have a look at is circulating our books. We've got our users in the system, we've got our books in the system, so let's now start borrowing some of those books to our users. Okay, we do this by system menu, circulation, and then circulation. Now, this screen has 2 tabs, and the 2 tabs control whether we're on the loan mode or the return mode. There at the top of the screen there, The blue screen is telling us that we are on the loan mode. When I hit return, it goes orange. So we've color coordinated it so it stands out so that you can briefly look at the screen and go, yep, I'm on the right mode. Let's start scanning our books. Okay, if we've got a whole bunch of students that have just come in, click on loan. The cursor is in that top field. Scan the barcode of the user or type in a couple of letters from their first or surname. When you hit enter, it's going to say, hey, I found a couple of users in the system that match your search. Which one do you want to borrow to? Select the correct one. Any errors for this user is going to load at this point. So if they've got overdues, it's going to notify you. If they've got reservations, if they've got patron traps, so maybe one of your colleagues has said, hey, please don't loan any of the new books to this user because he always seems to damage them. Okay, all of that information is going to load up. We can read through it quickly, click OK. It's now brought us to the circulation screen. So left-hand side is all the details of the user itself. And on the middle of the screen here, these are all the books that this user currently has on loan. If they're highlighted in red, it's telling you that they are overdue. Okay, to loan resources to them, scan the barcode of the books that we want to loan, and that's going to add that to their list. Okay, now one cool feature about this screen is you can see down in the current loan section that this user has one overdue called PAT Maths Teacher Materials. And he's got a second one that we just scanned to this user, an Inconvenient Truth. Okay, the Inconvenient Truth has been expanded. Now what that's telling you is this is the last book that you circulated. Okay, so if I now go and scan a brand new book, user is now the expanded one. So if I'm got my head down, I'm going scan, 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 I go, oh shivers, I got distracted by a student. Which one am I up to? We can quickly look at the screen and go, oh, it's scoped, cool. Let me just go ahead and scan the next one in. Okay, so anything that's currently on loan and within the due date has that alternating color scheme, white and blue. If it is overdue, it's going to be red. And if it's due today, it's going to be highlighted in green, I believe. Okay, so that's the color scheme for the system. Now, if we're wanting to return any books, head over to returns and simply start scanning those books in. Any errors, they're going to come up. Click OK. And again, anything that is recently scanned is going to be expanded. Okay, so that's the last one that you've circulated. Okay, back on this screen here, if we need to mark any of those books as lost, okay, select them from the list and then hit lost down the bottom in the toolbar. Okay, so using circulation is pretty simple. The biggest thing you need to know on this screen is which mode am I on? Am I on loan or return? Loan, blue screen, return, orange screen. Okay, so that's circulation in SmartSuite-Library. Now, the last thing we're going to be talking about today is, okay, I've had the training with Quentin, I've set up the SKIS things, but I've got a question. I want to be able to run off an overdue letter. I want to get into the advanced functions. I want to create kits. I want to talk to someone about how I can get these questions answered. All right, well, there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. The first way is, as a brand new user on SmartSuite-Library, you have access to our concierge service. And this is available through this hovering icon on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Okay, every single page in the system has this icon. And what this is an active chat that comes directly to our customer service team members. Okay, so it's not going to an automated bot or anything like that. You're actually communicating with our customer service team. So punch in just like a normal chat, punch in your questions, they're going to answer it for you, send you articles, book in sessions, do whatever you need to do with them. And it can all be done live, real time through the concierge service. The other way that you can communicate with us is by going over to your system menu, scrolling down until you see support. Okay, and under support, you've got contact support. This is going to take you over to the system mailbox. Okay, and it's going to highlight the support tickets for you. Now on the left hand side here, these are all of the tickets that you have currently opened or have opened in the past, but they're now finished with our customer service team members. Okay, so if you've got some instructions in there that you want to refer to in a few months' time, click on those and all of those instructions will come up. Okay, you can see the status of all those tickets there. They're all currently closed. If we need to reopen them, we can reopen them and have a chat and say, hey, I've still got this inquiry open with you guys. To create a new ticket, click on create a ticket, chuck in your subject, give us a little bit of information as to what your inquiry is. If you've got some examples, upload them here and then flick that off to our customer service team. Okay, any of the responses that comes back, so if you ask us a question and our customer service team members respond, you will get an email notification of it. Now, excuse me 1 minute. So you'll get an email to your school email address saying you've got a response. Come back to the mailbox, have a look at how we've responded, and then either respond back to us or action whatever steps we've asked you to action. Okay, so that's communicating with our customer service team members, concierge or contact support. There are other helpful resources under that support menu though. The next one down is search for help. So this is all of the articles that our customer service team members have been creating to help you navigate around SmartSuite-Library. Okay, so if we want some instructions on how do we create catalog records for assets like laptops, okay, there's instructions there for us. And it also goes into the assets module that's within SmartSuite. If we're wanting to know how do we bulk import users, you can search for that article in the search for help section. Okay, back in there we've also got training videos. So this is going to link you back to our YouTube channel. So all the events that we're hosting like this, they'll be published on the YouTube channel. Any of the one-on-one sessions that we're doing, coffee and chat sessions, sharing ideas sessions where we're interviewing other SmartSuite-Library and TV for Education users all around Australia on how they're using SmartSuite to try and get the word out about literacy and all the other stuff relating to libraries. All of that's going to be here. Okay, so make sure that you do subscribe to the channel because you will receive live notifications of when we've uploaded those videos or when we've scheduled those events. Without doing that, you may miss some of those really important events that we're going to be hosting, especially in these times where it's a little bit difficult for us to get to you one-on-one and invest that time in speaking with you face-to-face. We are going to be promoting a lot more of these online events. Okay, so make sure that you're benefiting from those by subscribing to the channel and clicking that bell to get all the notifications of when these events are running and when those resources have been published to the channel. Make sure that you do flick that out to your teachers as well, because we do have on that same channel events that are targeted specifically for teachers. Okay, we hold a minimum of one of those teacher training events every week. In fact, I believe that we've got one starting in 5 minutes time. Okay, so if they want to get some usage, you know, if you're a primary school and you want to show them how they can loan and return resources, we've got events that are specifically for teachers, not library qualified librarians. Okay. FSI user community. So if you're a Facebook user, this is where you can come to and join in and have a voice amongst all of our users, ask questions, create discussion boards, as well as get access to events and promotions that we are only promoting to the community. So 2020, we gave away a couple of tablets, vouchers for JB Hi-Fi, gift certificates for cinemas, through all those different events that we ran only to the FSI user community. So make sure that if you are a new user, you jump on, you follow it, and you get involved with the community there. The last resource that we have is the Quick Start Guide. Okay, and this is a printable version of all of the instructions that we believe a user is going to use within the first 6 months of owning SmartSuite-Library. Okay, so creating stock take sessions, bulk importing users, creating TV for Ed requests, creating support tickets, setting up user security, all of that is available through the Quick Start Guide. Okay, all the steps are nice and simple, laid out with all the images. So if we needed to, for example, print off how do I loan a resource and leave that on the circulation desk so that when I'm not available in the library, my staff members can do loans themselves, you can print off just that one page. Okay, all of those resources also have videos that go along with them as well. So if the teacher's looking at those instructions and going, I still don't get it, they can scan that QR code on their device. It's going to load that video that we've set up, 37 seconds long, specifically on how do I loan a resource. Okay, and that'll physically walk them through as if someone was there with them. Okay, so all of your helpful hints are available there, but I cannot stress enough, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, because that's where we're going to be pushing a heck of a lot of content. At the moment, we're doing a minimum of 4 YouTube live events every week. That's in addition to the production videos that we're pushing up as well. Okay, so these events allow you to actually ask questions, have a chat with other members that are joining in from other schools around Australia, and make sure that you're getting the best return on your investment with SmartSuite-Library and FSI. Okay, so if there's anything that you take away from the session today, it's join up, subscribe, and hit that bell on the YouTube channel. Okay, now that is the training for our brand new SmartSuite-Library users. My name is Quintin. I really hope that you enjoyed this session today and you got a lot out of the points that we covered. Apologies for that little bit of a delayed start as we're trying to get some of the other users onto the system this morning or this afternoon. But I still hope that everyone was able to get a lot out of the session. Okay, now stay safe if you are in Brisbane. Make sure that you're adhering to all the government requirements when it comes to all of the COVID stuff. We hope to see everyone fellowshipping with friends and family over Easter. We'll keep everyone in prayer as that happens. But we wish you well, and we're really looking forward to term 2 because we've got some exciting product releases that are coming out, some brand new products that are entering into the FSI product line to help education and help you guys as educators teach the next generation. So stay tuned for that. Join into the community, get first access on the FSI user community, and see all the information on our YouTube channels. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time on one of our YouTube training sessions. See you later, guys.